Good evening, Patriots. Good evening, America. Welcome to Battleground Live. This is the show, if you're just joining us for the first time, where we really do, and if you have kids around, just throw quick earmuffs on there, where we really do kick ass and take names and take the political fight to the radical left on the daily. I was laughing to myself before we went live because someone in the chat was like, "Bring the heat today, Sean." You know, it's a tough place for me to be because I try to bring the heat every day on one hand, but on the other hand, I will get messages and emails from viewers saying and listeners saying, well, just be careful, Sean. We don't want you to have a heart attack on air. So it's kind of a fine line. So I've got this like little like heart rate monitor Apple Watch thing. Normally I know if I'm getting too fired up because my heart rate will elevate. So you got to find that happy medium. But we have an amazing show planned for you today from sea to shining sea and everybody in between. Welcome, Patriots. We love having you here. The title of tonight's episode is "The Fake News Media is on the Ropes." So I'm going to tell you why I believe they're on the ropes here right at the top of the show. Got to cover this Trump-Elon conversation and the political implications therein. What does it mean for the future of this country? The media, they're a bunch of unthinking, what they call NPCs. They're a bunch of morons. They echo each other's sentiment all the time. I'm going to show that to you. Also, this soundbite of CNN and Caitlin Collins getting laughed at on Stephen Colbert, even though it wasn't a punchline. Amazing. Inflation, January 6th update, and something else about January 6th. It seems like a lot of people have moved on from January 6th, especially given the favorable rulings that we as conservatives have at the Supreme Court recently on immunity and the 1512C obstruction of an official proceeding. Clearly, those were big conservative wins. However, that does not mean that we can move on from January 6th. There are people languishing in prison cells in solitary confinement because they walked into the Capitol building. Now, keep in mind, that Capitol building is ours. It's ours. We, the people, the taxpayers built it. It's our building. We own it. And you had people who, at best, charged with misdemeanors that day that are being bankrupted, that are being thrown in prison, that are having their lives destroyed. And as long as that is happening, I am going to cover it relentlessly because it just pisses me off and it should not happen in this country. Okay, so I had a conversation with a friend today, earlier in the day, and he is a Democrat. He's definitely a liberal. And yes, I have liberal friends. And the interesting thing about that is that, you know, if you're a conservative, I think that you can and are capable of having liberal friends. However, as the Democrat Party gets more farther and farther left, that becomes more difficult because so many of these new Democrats, they're just perfectly content with believing hoaxes. They're perfectly content with being, you know, willing and eager participants in propaganda. They don't really care about the truth. They care about the narrative. And so as they get further left, it's hard for me, and also I think many conservatives, to have Democrat liberal friends. I have always lived my life of the mindset that politics should not come before friendship with somebody. That's always been more important. But it's getting real hard now, especially when many of these Democrats are advocating for the wholesale transformation of this country. They're cheering on assassination attempt against President Trump. They're cheering on, you know, January 6th grandmas being thrown in prison and being ruined for life. It just gets to the point where it's too much. And that sort of insane negativity that the liberal worldview, and I have to say, calling them liberals does a disservice to us. I mean, we're not liberals, right? We're conservatives. That means, to be a conservative means that it's an active term. It means that we believe in the traditional values that made this country into what it is today. We believe in life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. We believe in the Bill of Rights. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the rule of law. Like we We trust and put faith in the words of our founders and their vision of what America was and was always intended to be. Liberalism, and it almost does a disservice to these Democrats today because they're all mini authoritarian. They're fascists. They're communists. They're the antithesis of liberalism. What does it mean to be a classical liberal? Well, it means to be, free thinking, ability to think for yourself, right? It means being tolerant of other views. It means keeping an open mind. In the year of 2024, in August of 2024, mainstream Democrat Party does not embody any of those things anymore. So that's where I'm coming from, when I say that most of us are more liberal than any of these psycho, fascist, authoritarian Democrats. But getting back to my original story is that, yes, I still have a couple of free-thinking Democrat friends. And I had a conversation with one of them today, and the conversation was striking to me. Because if you think, and I think, that the last 2 months have been kind of a head scratcher, kind of an unprecedented moment in American history, well, you would be right. But I don't think just we conservatives believe that. I think that independents, and I think that even some moderate, free-thinking Democrats believe that as well. And something that this person said to me, he's never been a big fan of Trump. And I'm always like, why, man? Think for yourself. Don't believe the bullshit that the media tells you. Trump's a good man. I know him. I've met him. Look at his kids. You can see the quality and the character of the man reflected in his kids. Trump has a great family. I'm constantly saying this stuff to him, and it never really moves the needle. But today he said something to me, and that was, I don't believe that what the media is telling me. He said, I don't believe when the media tells me that Trump is horrible and evil and a dictator. I don't believe he's as bad as what they're saying. And that brings me to this Newsweek headline. And the headline is Kamala Harris tax proposal backed by majority of Republicans. Now, what they're talking about here is the no tax on tips. Now, damn near 5 months, everywhere I go, you go on social media, people writing on receipts at restaurants for service workers saying, vote Trump, no tax on tips. Kamala Harris goes to Nevada, says she is not, hey, I'm no tax on tips, right? This is my policy. No mention of the fact that it was completely stolen from Trump. No mention of the fact that in Nevada, that will have a real disproportionate impact because there are lots of service-related workers in Nevada. I mean, it's potentially something that can move the needle there. So Kamala Harris comes out at a rally and says that, and the media just breathlessly reports it as if it's her idea. And of course, that Newsweek headline, it's like, of course, the majority of Republicans back the no tax on tips. It was Trump's idea first, you intergalactic level morons. Sometimes I ask myself and I wonder, if you're a 20-something, fresh out of college liberal, and you're a journalism major, and you get your job at your first job at a newspaper like Newsweek or a small town paper, and you say, hey, I'm excited, I'm a journalist. And then what? When you write this bullshit, you have to know that you're lying, right? Like, you have to know in this headline, Kamala Harris's tax proposal backed by a majority of Republicans, you have to know that you're kind of burying the lead, right? Like, you have to know that the majority of Republicans back this proposal because Trump is the one that proposed it, and it makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. And it's something that can move the needle all over the country, but especially in the battleground state of Nevada. To not address that in your headline, if you're a young journalist, you know that you know that you're lying. Of course you do. So if you know that you're lying, then you also know that you're a willing participant in propaganda. And so Twitter, Elon Musk's X, had an amazing community note on here, and we're building to the conversation between Trump and Elon. So stick with me. I'll break all this down for you. But this community note on this Newsweek headline, it says Donald Trump first campaigned on the idea of not taxing tips in June of 2024. As vice president, Harris cast the tie-breaking vote in 2022 to track tips for the purpose of taxation as part of the Inflation Reduction Act before copying Trump's proposal in recent campaign stops. You see? Like that right there is an extremely powerful thing. That community note function on Twitter, on X. Elon Musk gave us that. And if you want to get a window into the heart, into the reason why the Democrats are out to destroy Elon Musk, I just read it to you right there. And, you had Joe Biden out there in a CBS interview, and Joe Biden just put this out on his Twitter/X profile not an hour before we went live on the show tonight. Biden said this.
I spoke to the mom who lost her daughter as a consequence of those neo-Nazis and white supremacists come out of fields in America with torches, carrying Nazi banners, singing the same sick anti-Semitic bile that was sung in Germany in the 30s. And when her daughter was killed, the press went to the then President Trump and said, "What do you think?" He said, "They're very fine people on both sides." I knew that. I knew I'd do something. And that's how I decided to run. Because democracy was literally at stake. And, and then he evidenced everything that we thought. January 6th, when attack on the Capitol, talked about now, because he now talks about making sure they're all let out of prison. They're going to pardon them. But think of this. Every other time the Ku Klux Klan's been involved, they wore hoods, so they're not identified. Under his presidency, they came out of those woods with no hoods, knowing they had an ally. That's how I read it. They knew they had an ally in the White House. And he stepped up for them.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Like that right there is a long debunked hoax. I mean, in a very long list of debunked hoaxes, but this is all the Democrats have. It's absolutely stunning to me that a sitting American president is able to push that bullshit on CBS, right? On CBS, with no pushback from the journalist. Again, that journalist, just like that young 20-something journalist, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, job at the first paper that writes a headline that most Republicans back Kamala Harris's proposal on taxes. Like, this ass clown at CBS has to know that Biden is lying. Has to know. Yet zero pushback. And not only zero pushback, the animated corpse, the cadaver in chief, felt comfortable enough putting out that brazen lie from his official government account on Twitter/X. And that brings me to this. The Harris campaign, the breaking news, and I don't know if you've all heard this yet, but the news that broke today that the Harris campaign is editing news headlines on Google search ads to make it look like reputable news sites are giving her favorable coverage. This was at least, I got this off of Colin Rugg's Twitter/X account, but I want you all to keep in mind the same people that the right accuses of misinformation and lying and propaganda are manipulating algorithms behind the scenes on Google to make it seem like the press is giving them even more favorable coverage than they already are. I often say, having run 2 campaigns myself, I learned a thing or two by having my name on that ballot running in very consequential races in the state of Pennsylvania, that it would be the easiest damn thing in the world to campaign as a Democrat, because you can literally do, and yes, literally do whatever the hell that you want to do and never be challenged by the media. And I mean, never be challenged by the media at all. And that brings me back to the conversation with my friend in the silver lining here. I believe that the media is losing much of their influence over the American people. Now, yes, there are still 20-something% of the American people that will buy anything the media says, hook, line, and sinker. But the person that I spoke to today was very, very smart, has an amazing job. Like I have a lot of respect for this person. I mean, we have very, 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 very different views on things. But if he's saying this, I guarantee you there are millions more thinking the exact same thing. I mean, look at this Republicans for Harris group. We spoke a little bit about the danger of weak Republicans last week, and we do it often here on this show, that I believe that weak Republicans own just as much of where we are as a country as the Democrats who brought us here. Because any Republican that is going to run for office that would rather ingratiate themselves to the media and be in the cool kids group of the Uniparty isn't really willing to fight for we the people. They're willing to cede America, as it's always been, to radical leftists in the media who are damn well focused, or just laser focused on destroying that. I have no respect for leaders on our side like that. There's nothing more frustrating than weak, pathetic Republicans who just bend over anytime the going gets rough. Anytime there's a controversy, anytime things get tough, this brand, and many of these people are the establishment, these are establishment Republicans. This brand of Republicans surrenders first, last, and always, and I'm absolutely sick and tired of it. But I want to show you this clip from CNN about Republicans for Harris. It's completely fake. The data doesn't back it up. I'm going to tell you why in a second, but just watch how they push this propaganda.
I think that's the point of this coalition. I think on the conversation tonight that we'll be doing in the Zoom rally with Republicans for Harris, you'll have people that were part of that coalition, that were Republicans for Nikki Haley. Look, those cheers in that crowd when the mayor said that about John McCain, that tells me that there is a broad coalition there, right? Because that is who we identify when we're moderate conservatives. We want leaders like that. And I think Donald Trump is the antithesis to that. And so I think, I think there is opportunity here to reach those moderate voters. I think it'll happen. And I always remind people, look, to the women out there, to the other spouses out there, your MAGA spouse doesn't need to know what you're doing in that voting booth, right?
Yeah.
So your vote is private. It's personal. I know that people are scared about, what will my friends and family think, or they'll judge me, or my neighbors will judge me if I'm voting for a Democrat because I'm a die-in-the-wool Republican. That's fair. But at the end of the day, vote your conscience, your integrity, and vote for a better future for the Republican Party. And
that woman used to work directly for Mike Pence. I mean, was worked hand in hand with him almost on everything. Doesn't that give you a sense that our party, well, probably doesn't give you a sense. That's not the right way to say it. But clearly, there are large swaths of our party, especially in elected office. There are some great Republicans, don't get me wrong, but they are just not equipped with dealing with the Democrat Party as it exists today. And the truth is, you should go follow this. I got this video clip from a Twitter/X account called Kamala Headquarters, Kamala HQ Lies. It's a great account. Check it out. They refute all the lies and the propaganda that's being pushed by the Democrats and the Kamala Harris campaign. But they broke it down like this. The lie: there's a broad coalition of Republicans coming together to support Kamala Harris. The truth: there is no evidence to suggest that a broad coalition of Republicans are supporting Kamala Harris. Here are the facts. Republican voter registrations for Trump have surged. At least 2% of nationwide voters have flipped parties. In 4 years, 3.5 million people have left the Democrat Party due to Kamala/Joe's administration. in July, we reported on this last week. July, Dems lost 19,000 voters. In July, the GOP gained 252,759 voters. So the point is, the data does not support that there's any sort of movement, Republican movement for Kamala Harris. And by the way, your MAGA spouse doesn't have to know how you vote. Something about that just is very sinister to me. There's something about that just feels gross and makes my skin crawl. I just can't even fathom, as a conservative, a constitutional conservative before I'm a Republican, by the way. As a conservative, I cannot fathom ever voting for Kamala Harris. I want to hear from you. Constitutional conservatives, America First patriots who are watching the show and in the live chat, folks who are watching the show for the first time that are new. As someone who loves this country, as a conservative, would you ever vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? Put it in the live chat. I want to see. Let me take a quick break while you all are typing. Make sure you smash that like button, that little green thumb beneath the video. Also, folks, I'm a proud American, and that means if you come after me or my family, I will be ready. And that's why I rely on my Patriot Supply. Their mega 3-month emergency food kit comes jam-packed with 33 varieties of filling, delicious foods. Not only does that include creamy chicken-flavored rice, old-fashioned Italian spaghetti, and savory cheese broccoli soup, which, by the way, I could fashion myself eating some cheese broccoli soup. And if you're wondering why I'm kind of chuckling to myself as I am talking about my Patriot Supply, I'm watching you all light up the live chat and say, no, hell no, absolutely no. But the point is, these mega 3-month emergency food kits, they're the real deal. It's pretty awesome. With each one of these kits, you get a bonus protein kit with diced beef, flavorful chicken chunks, and 3 varieties of beans, plus 9 different fruits, vegetables, snacks. All in all, this emergency food kit gives you 2,500 calories per day that will keep you well fed for anything. I mean, you know how I see things. It's my job. It's the job of a father. It's the job of a parent to protect and provide. I believe it's my duty to protect my family without waiting for handouts, without waiting on the government to come and try to help me, because you know that they ain't going to be anywhere to be found in a crisis. And frankly, as someone with 5 children, this is not negotiable. I've got to have food ready, prepared for them should things go south. So I think all of this starts with food you can depend on for up to 25 years. So go to prepwithvnn.com right now. Save $300 on your mega 3-month emergency food kit. $300. That's legit. It ships fast. It ships free. Go to prepwithvnn.com. Prepwithvnn.com. Save $300 on your kit. That's prepwithvnn.com. Okay, debt. You go to bed thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it. But the truth is, the system traps you in debt. If you've ever been in debt, then you absolutely know this. High interest credit cards, loans make it nearly impossible to pay off your debt. Insane inflation, that keeps you stuck paycheck to paycheck. If you need help, folks, look, my family's in debt. We've been in debt for a long time. It sucks. It consumes you. You think about it every freaking day. Done with Debt might be your lifeline. Done with Debt has an ingenious new strategy to help you erase your debt faster and easier than you thought possible. Done with Debt, they analyze all the debt options that you qualify for. They know how to reduce bills. They know how to cut interest rates. Their skilled staff of negotiators know how to get debt out of your life permanently without bankruptcy and without a loan. Done with Debt are the experts in brilliant strategies for eliminating debt. But you need to hurry because some debt solutions are time sensitive. So here's how easy all of this is. You just go to donewithdebt.com. That is donewithdebt.com. Select VNN. That is VNN, Vigilant News Network at checkout. That is donewithdebt.com. All right, folks. Looking at the live chat, I'm seeing lots of all caps. Hell no. I'm even seeing some F no's. No, I'm even seeing some no votes for heels up. All right. I'm hearing you people. I'm hearing you. And I agree. As constitutional conservatives, how could you ever vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? They're a bunch of lying commie scumbags, are they not? So how does somebody that has principles, how does a Republican for Harris, by the way, again, no data to suggest that group like that even exists, but how does a Republican, a dyed-in-the-wool Republican, vote for Kamala Harris and say with a straight face that you're saving this country? You're not a Republican. The enemy is inside the gates. And this is why I say that these Republicans who are inside our party own just as much of where we are as the radical Democrats, who, by the way, have been steering the ship. But these spineless Republicans, these rhinos, as some people call them, they are absolutely just as responsible as the Democrats. And so if we lose this election, as a military man, we talk about most likely course of action, most deadly course of action. So if we're looking at this election like a military operation, the most deadly course of action is if we lose. What does that look like? If we lose, I do not think that this country, as we know it, as we've known our whole lives, will exist any longer. That is not me trying to be doom and gloom. That is not me trying to scare you. I think, we'll still have a country that is called the same thing. States would be, hey, we'll still have states. But I don't believe that we'll have a constitutional republic as our founders intended. I don't believe that at all. Look at what the Democrats have done in their own party. They shanked a sitting president, replaced him with somebody else, even after their own people voted. If that metastasizes, that anti-democratic cancer that exists within the Democrat Party metastasizes and takes over the Republican Party, combine that with the steady growth and power and influence of institutions in this country that are run amok, it does not end well for we the people. And I'm not just talking about conservatives. My fear is that if we lose this election, a significant percentage of the country might realize the threat that's in front of us when it's too late. You look at the legislative branch of our government, the House of Representatives, right? That's the title. They're supposed to be the voice of the people. But if anything over the last month, if you've seen one great example of the threat that is the deep state, it should come as the debate over what happened with the Trump assassination attempt, these hearings that members of Congress have given. It's just difficult for me to put it into words, but it seems to me that Democrats, I'm getting word that there's some lag and freezing happen. Are you all getting lag and freezing in the live chat? Let me know in the live chat if things are working okay for you. But anyways, I'll just say you have this anti-democratic trend that exists within the Democrat Party. If that grows beyond the Democrat Party and somehow Republicans start cutting out we the people, and then you have the growth of these institutions that remain unchecked precisely because the House of Representatives has ceded their legislative authority to these institutions, which now report directly to the president, bad things happen. Bad things happen. So that's why I'm saying everything is on the line here this election cycle. That's why I'm saying that we've got to be involved. And that's why I'm saying this interview with Trump and Elon is so critically important. I'm getting news that it was laggy for a while, but now it seems okay. Look, I'm just going to keep rolling here. I don't know what's going on. I can't I'm looking here. My internet's fine. I'm not getting any internet warnings here. So I'm just going to keep rolling, okay? People are saying, no, I'm okay. So it might just be, it might not be a me issue. It might be like a Rumble platform issue, but we'll just keep going. The conversation between Elon and Trump. 25 million X users listen to the Trump-Elon conversation from start to finish. 25 million, okay? Per X. The total number of impressions reached 2.9 billion, and that number is still growing. Over 9.6 million posts related to the interview itself were generated. So think about that, folks. Think about that. 1.5 million concurrent listeners. I listened to it last night. I saw 1 million, 1.1, 1.2, all the way up to 1.5. And I turned to Commander Melanie, my wife, and I said, holy shit. 1.5 million people are listening to this interview right now. And never mind the fact that a DDoS attack, Twitter was attacked to stifle that conversation in the first place. And even despite that DDoS attack, they were still able to get it off the ground, even though it was 40 minutes late. 1.5 million concurrent listeners and 25 million X users, 2.9 billion impressions. And that number continues to grow. And of course, Elon Musk, true to form, came out and said, look at all of these negative media headlines. It's absolutely like, look, USA Today, Trump rambles, slurs his way through Elon Musk interview. It was an unmitigated disaster. Even Fox News. Kamala Harris's campaign criticizes Trump for self-obsessed rich guys after interview with Elon Musk. Newsweek, Donald Trump's lisp during Elon Musk interview raises questions. He didn't have a lisp. It was an internet call. Like, watch the video of Trump actually speaking into the phone. There's no lisp whatsoever. Fake news. How about The Guardian? So Donald chatted with Elon, and here's the future as they see it. Losers win and competence rules. What? How about The New York Times? Musk's Trump top on X after glitchy start, a 2-hour ramble. How about The Guardian? The Musk-Trump interview, a surprisingly dull meeting of two planet-sized egos. I mean, Elon Musk basically said these are NPCs, non-player characters, basically the Borg robots that offer very little to the American people. But the reason why these fake news media outlets are attacking Twitter/X is because Elon is putting them all out of business. This is a fact. Those numbers represent a real-life threat to the conventional corporate press. I mean, those numbers are staggering to me. It's why people like Catherine Herridge have come to X. It's why people like Tucker Carlson have come to X. It's because people see X as a platform of the future. And when you combine the power of X with the power of Rumble, the sky is the limit. The parallel economy is real. But my point is, these traditional media platforms are attacking not because of the quality of the conversation between Trump and Elon, which, by the way, if you listen to it, was like a conversation between two dudes on how to make this country better. It's not about reaching politicos who just care about rhetoric, care about shiny rhetoric, but not actually doing anything while they're in office. They say real great things on the campaign trail, but when they get in office, they're pathetic. They break their promises. They're ineffective. Here you have Elon Musk, who built 3 at least of some of the most incredible, extraordinary companies on the face of the planet that are forward-looking, that are actually doing good in the world. Look at Starlink and how it's bringing internet to people who live in rural areas. I mean, the guy's doing amazing things. Buying Twitter, spending billions of his own dollars to buy Twitter, which is now X, which is a free speech platform. I mean, that's a pretty damn awesome altruistic thing. And then you have Trump, who he's a business icon, reshaped the skyline of New York City. Tens of thousands of employees worldwide. You have these two dudes having a conversation, wildly successful in the private sector. They've actually built things They built things in this country that have made this country better, that have made people's lives in this country better. Yet these ass clowns in the media, these no talent ass clowns, are out there talking shit because they're just afraid that they'll lose their job. I mean, look at how CNN's talking about the Trump-Elon interview.
Began with 40 minutes of silence and then a bropocalypse of politics. No matter how you frame it or what caused the glitch, what was finally said between Donald Trump and Elon Musk at last night's Big X event can largely be defined as a rant filled with familiar lies and lines of attack.
Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not smart. You know, she's not a smart person. She is a radical left San Francisco liberal, and now she's trying to protect. Now she's looking like she wants to be more Trump than Trump, if that's possible. I don't think it's possible, but she wants to be more Trump than Trump. She's terrible, but she's getting a free ride.
All right, but did it do what it was designed to do, which was to put the brakes on Harris's momentum? Or
I don't think that it was designed to put the brakes on Harris momentum. I think that Harris is doing a little bit better in the polling than Biden, and that the fact that she's doing a little bit better in the polling than Biden might protect, a bloodbath, a political bloodbath in the House and the Senate. But I think this Harris momentum, this Kamala momentum, is completely fake. I'm not saying we take her for granted. We always campaign like we're 10 points down. We don't get complacent. You know my feelings on this. But it's completely fake, and it's fake by the numbers. Look at the data. Listen to CNN talking about just this topic. It's all fake.
In those states that I mentioned, those Great Lake Battleground states, Trump was underestimated by 9 points on average at this point in 2016. How about 2020? It wasn't a one-off. Look at this. He was underestimated by 5 points on average. And, of course, Kamala Harris's advantage in those New York Times Siena College polls were 4 points in each of these key battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The bottom line is this. If you have any idea, if you're a Kamala Harris fan and you want to rip open the champagne bottle, pop that cork, do not do it. Donald Trump is very much in this race. If we have a polling shift like we've seen in prior years from now until the final result, Donald Trump would actually win. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I am saying that he is very much in this ballgame based upon where he is right now, and compare that to where he was in prior years.
we certainly heard the Harris campaign saying we have to keep fighting.
Absolutely.
This is definitely not over. All right. Let's talk about enthusiasm and how that translates actually. We are quite a ways out, again, 3 months about.
Yeah, yesterday I was mentioning, the enthusiasm for the Democratic ticket was up. Yeah. But that enthusiasm is not the same thing as going out to actually vote. And there's a different question, which essentially says, how certain are you actually going to go out and vote? And this is the top range. Almost certain to vote. Again, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. This is among registered voters. Look at this. Look at Kamala Harris now compared to where Joe Biden was back in May. In fact, 62% of Joe Biden voters said they were almost certain to turn out and vote. Now,
it's gone down.
It's actually gone down a little bit. I would call this in the same general area at 61%. But it's basically unchanged. And look at Donald Trump. He was at 58% in May. He's actually gone up a little bit now. He's at 60% now. Again, basically no real change. So the bottom line here is, yes, there may be more enthusiasm for Kamala Harris, but the fact is we're not seeing that necessarily translate in the almost certain vote. And one little other note, Sarah, I will note this. Donald Trump is more popular today than he was on August 13th in either 2020 or 2016. So the bottom line is, yes, Kamala Harris is doing better in the polls, but there's a long way to go. The polls can shift. The almost certain to vote hasn't actually shifted, and Donald Trump is more popular than he was at either 2016 or 2020 at this point.
Don't buy the bullshit. Don't buy the propaganda. What was striking to me, was that people seemed to be less excited on the Democrat side to vote for Harris than they were for Biden. And I got to believe that number is going to get worse for them, I would think, over time, because slowly they're going to come to the realization that their voice doesn't matter. They were completely cut out of the process. Now, again, we don't get complacent. We campaign like we're 10 points down, But I'm here to offer you a counter perspective to the bullshit that you're being fed. If you watch corporate media every day, it's all complete bullshit propaganda. All of it is lies. Like, what's Kamala Harris doing today? I don't know. Let's see what CNN has to say about it.
What's on the vice president's schedule today?
Well, she's traveling and talking to voters and getting her message out there to the American people, something that she's been doing from the very start of this campaign and something that she certainly did when she was President Biden's running mate as vice president. But look, you just mentioned the speech she's going to be giving in
that's right. I was asking about today, and I don't think she's got any campaign events on the schedule today, does she?
Well, she and Governor Walz have been traveling across the country. They hit nearly every battleground state last week. On the campaign trail, they raised $36 million within the first 24 hours.
Well, she's not actually doing anything today. So my question is, like, is she even working and campaigning like she's 10 points down? They're doing all the virtual bullshit. They're doing the propaganda. There's a massive propaganda campaign to make you believe that she's popular, that she's amazing, that she's wonderful. But if that is true, then why is a propaganda campaign even necessary? If that is true, then why isn't she sitting down and doing interviews to make herself even more popular, to reach even more people, to build that coalition, to reshape America like Barack Obama allegedly did in 2008. She's hiding. She's hiding because she knows she's not popular. She's hoping to run out the clock. That is it. And by the way, when I talk to you all about the media losing power, the people just don't believe them anymore. And I mean that. You'll get hardliners that believe MSNBC, that might believe CNN, but the vast majority of people, even garbage liberals on the farthest left, even they think the media is a joke. Just listen to this Colbert interview with Caitlin Collins of CNN.
Trump has kind of been thrown on his heels by this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris. He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes a... I know
that's supposed to be a laugh line?
It wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is. What I wanted to ask is that, but you guys still have your own feelings and your own bets about what's going to happen on a deal.
People, the left-wing people, presumably left-wing people, and Stephen Colbert's audience, oh, you're objective over there at CNN. You report the news right down the middle. The audience laughed at that. It wasn't an applause line. Even the left knows that their media is a complete joke. So my point is, things are a lot better for conservatives than people would lead on. In that interview with Trump and Elon, it's important. It's the opposite of what Kamala is doing. Trump is going out there and trying to build a coalition. Kamala's not doing that. If Kamala was as popular as the media is trying to force on you, or tell you how popular she is, she would be doing the same things that Trump is doing. But Trump is out there doing an interview with Elon Musk because Elon Musk has the largest social media platform in the world. He's not somebody he's not a lock, stock, and barrel conservative like you and me, voted for Obama. Now he sees the country at risk. He sees the Democrats as the new Democrat Party as an existential threat to American prosperity. And so Trump is out there doing an interview with this guy, trying to reach new voters. So keep the faith, folks. You all are immensely powerful. The conservative base here in this country, America First patriots, you're often denigrated. But you all need to know that you are the best of this country. Trump is surging and is more popular today than he's ever been because you refuse to surrender. You refuse to back down. Think about all of the relentless media propaganda that we have been that has been pushed on us since Trump came down the escalator in 2016. It's like almost like the more they try to push propaganda, the larger our coalition grows. That's the takeaway that I want you to have from this show tonight. The more they push bullshit propaganda, the larger and more powerful we become. 75 million people voted for Trump in 2020, despite all the lies. Now look at how the media and the Democrats in power have escalated things to the point where they almost tried to kill Trump a month ago today. And despite all that, our movement grows. So let me take a quick break. Let me tell you about Genesis Gold. But before I do that, make sure you smash that like button, that little green thumb beneath that video. Smash it. So Genesis Gold, with so many options available for Americans to protect their retirement or physical precious metals, it's hard to know who to trust. America, folks who are watching, folks who are listening, you should trust Genesis Gold. They're amazing. They're our partners here. They're a faith-driven gold and silver company that is unabashedly America first. They don't try to hook people with free gold, free silver that actually isn't really free. Instead, what they try to do is treat their customers with respect, and they help teach them about what it's like investing in gold and silver. Here's what I know. I'm not an investment guy, okay? But I do know that politicians, both Democrats and Republicans, have destroyed the value of the dollar over the course of my life. It's lost something like 90% of its value. Gold has steadily gone up in value, as has silver. So look at it as something that keeps, retains, and actually grows over time, thereby being a hedge to your paper dollars. So if you have a retirement account, you can take a portion of that retirement account, invest it in gold and silver as a hedge against what these crazy politicians are doing in Washington. So many people who are listening and watching this show have told me that they've done just this and they don't regret it, and that it's a pretty awesome thing. So visit rumblegold.com. Get their free definitive gold guide just to learn more, folks. That is rumblegold.com. Check them out. Okay, Red Beach Nation. I love this company. It's a conservative apparel and beachwear company for freedom-loving Americans. So if you consider yourself somebody who believes that this country is exceptional, you consider you're someone who believes that this country is amazing and wonderful, then you should be doing business with Red Beach Nation. So whether you live at the beach, you're traveling to one, or you're just dreaming of one, like I do often, because in the Biden economy, we don't exactly have the money to take a family of 7 on vacation, but I digress. I can fake it to make it. Red Beach Nation is a great company, and we should do business with companies that share our values. Founded by a former counterterrorism officer, a war veteran of both Iraq and Afghanistan, Red Beach Nation is committed to upholding the values and American principles that we all hold so dear. Red Beach Nation, pure Americana, spangly stuff. I absolutely love it. So if that sounds like something that is of interest to you, come live the sand, surf, and freedom lifestyle with us. Head on over to redbeachnation.com and use the promo code Sean, SEAN, to save 10% off your order. Again, that is redbeachnation.com, promo code Sean, SEAN. That will save you 10% off of your order. Okay, these Democrats, these radical Democrats. I've become borderline obsessed of figuring out what happened behind the scenes with Joe Biden. Medical emergency in Las Vegas, Trump assassination attempt that fails. A week later, Biden's out. Kamala's appointed, selected, not elected. Pelosi's out there almost bragging about it. And this is the crazy thing about the left. They can't just keep their mouths shut. Remember what happened after they rigged the 2020 election? That Time magazine article comes out. A secret cabal of wealthy and powerful people fortified the election. So if you're uncomfortable or you're a hate listener, which we love having hate listeners, if you would want to call it fortify instead of rigged, that's fine. But these leftists just can't keep their mouths shut. And Pelosi's been out there bragging about switching people out, again, almost normalizing the fact that she totally screwed over her voters in doing so. And again, what surprises me is how the media just doesn't really give a shit. Because if they, again, I've said this many, many times, and I'll say it again, if the media actually got what they wanted, a true Democrat authoritarian in office, elections would go by the wayside and the media would be the first target. There's no, just look at history. That's how it works. But listen to Pelosi in this interview, again, bragging about how she shanked Joe Biden and screwed her voters over and surprised Republicans in the process.
I was sitting with a Republican, a significant sort of experienced Republican, and I was asking why were they so surprised by the switch? Why was there so little talk of Kamala Harris at the Republican convention? And he said, we never thought they would do it.
Well, no shit, we didn't think that they would do it. Like, I mean, we talked about on the show that if they did it, they would have to be Kamala just because of the money and the PACs and the legal stuff and the signatures and all this other stuff. But no shit, vast majority of Republicans didn't think that it would happen, maybe because they already had an election and most Republicans didn't think that they would go that far. But I don't think this is going to work for them. I just don't. And for those of you thinking that they might steal the election again, like they're going to try. But think about how the world has changed and our group is so awake now. You know, there are so many groups out there fighting for election integrity. And even put all of that aside, you all have cell phones. You all know the stakes. You all know what they're trying to do. I guarantee you, every effing polling station in this country is going to be chock full of America First patriots. And I don't give a damn if they're in heavily Democrat areas or not. There are going to be people there with phones and everything else watching everything like a hawk. And I'm telling you, the RNC is all over this, hiring, I think they've hired tens of thousands of poll watchers to be present in all of these places. And I know you think, oh, they blocked poll watchers, but poll watchers who are trained, who understand the law, who know what it means to go get an injunction by a court to force these radical Democrats to give them access to polling precincts. Like, I don't think that it's gonna be very, very different this time around. Granted, the wild card is these illegal alien invaders who might vote in our election. I've said this since day one. They're not going to be able to do the same things that they did in 2020. I'm not saying that, again, that we should take the Democrats for granted. I'm not saying that we should be complacent. I'm just saying that the battlefield has changed and our side recognizes it, and people are waking up faster than I think many of us believe. Listen to this woman talking about why she will not vote for a Democrat and why she's voting for Trump as a woman.
People are always like, Maggie, you're a woman. How can you vote?
Wait. Try this one.
People are always like, Maggie, you're a woman. How can you vote for Trump? Let me tell you why. Before 2020, I was apolitical. I did not care. I didn't pay attention to anything, just being honest. I was living my best life, doing van life, having fun. And then I moved back home to Washington during the pandemic. And do you want to know what Democrats did to me? They took away my right to teach. They took away my right to go to the gym. They took away my right to go to restaurants. They took away my right to go to movies. This is not an exaggeration. I got upwards of 1,000 death threats, maybe even more than that, from liberals. All because I didn't do that thing. I was living out in the country, minding my business, not harming anyone, being very respectful to everyone. And I was treated subhuman. Like, they dehumanized me so much. So I will be voting for the party that values personal liberty and freedom and small government. The right is far more liberal now than the left. The left has become more authoritarian. Like, they're literally installing a presidential candidate right now.
Amen.
Shooting their political opponents. Like, it's a little fascist in my opinion. So Trump's not perfect, but he's a good leader. He has good policies. So yeah, Trump.
Amen. See, I'm telling you folks, look, I think there are lots of people like that. The friend that I told you about at the beginning of the show, I think he falls into this category. I think there are lots of people like that. I'm showing you all this because so much of the news cycle is Kamala's amazing. Even Fox News gets in on that from time to time. Kamala's amazing. Look at all the dumb stuff Trump does. It's complete bullshit. It is complete bullshit. Don't buy the propaganda. Work your ass off to save this country, but don't buy the propaganda. There's a quick side note. We're talking about the COVID restrictions and the jab and the death threats and the Democrats being angry and the media being loathsome. Did you see Dr. Fauci say this?
I got infected about 2 weeks ago. It was my third infection, and I had been vaccinated and boosted a total of 6 times.
Listen, I am not laughing at the fact that the man got sick, but at what point do you wake the F up, dude? Like, you've been vaccinated and boosted 6 or 7 times, man. That fried your freaking brain. You're still getting COVID. It doesn't effing matter. Just do not comply, right? Which, by the way, is our best-selling shirt. We cannot, the Battleground apparel company, the apparel company for this podcast, for this show. We can't keep our apparel in line because I think so many people, that do not comply. I think so many people are just so sick of the government trying to tell them what to do. And here's Fauci saying, oh, yeah, I've been vaccinated and boosted 7 times, still had COVID. But speaking of the Democrats they're just mean people. They're terrible people. And also about Norm and Norma, normies in America who aren't tethered to politics like me and you, how I think like they're still voting Trump. Listen to this.
Trump or Kamala for president?
Trump.
Trump or Kamala? Who? Trump or Kamala?
Oh. Not Kamala.
Excuse me, sir. Trump or Kamala?
Trump.
Trump or Kamala?
Huh?
Trump or Kamala?
Oh, Trump for sure. Trump or Kamala?
Trump.
Trump or Kamala?
Trump.
Trump or Kamala?
How about if you stop doing that, please?
Liberal kicks him out.
Trump or Kamala?
Trump. Trump or Kamala for president?
Trump.
Not a single person said Kamala yet. Trump or Kamala?
What are you talking about?
For president, Trump or Kamala?
Kamala. Fuck Trump.
You were the first person to say Kamala.
Right.
I don't really like her.
Well, I don't care.
What would you say to
Trump? Trump's an asshole. He belongs in jail.
What would you say to Trump if he was here right now?
I would shoot him.
I mean, I think that there's something, these liberals, I think that there's something wrong with them, folks. I really, really do. I mean, keep in mind, this is why I say it's important to be a happy warrior. This is why I really do believe that, we should work our butts off. I believe that we should, I don't know, folks. I just believe that we should continue to fight the good fight, but be happy while we do it. Many of these Democrats, they're not happy people. They're angry people. And what I think that this election will come down to more than anything else, and I talk about people waking up, and I've told you many times before, your job as a candidate is to draw that contrast, right? This is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is why my view is better than my opponent. No, by the way, this is what my opponents stand for. And this is why your life has gotten worse under my opponent. And this is how your life will get better under me. I just think that the economic situation in this country is writing a campaign narrative for Trump. And so look at how the media are trying to fake this excitement for Kamala. Look at the relentless propaganda in support of that. Look at the Kamala campaign trying to twist Google algorithms and shape Google ads to make it seem like she's getting better coverage than she is. All of it is fake. All of it's fake. And at the end of the day, I really do think that it's going to come down to the economy and the way in which it's affecting people. Listen to this woman talk about how the economy is affecting the middle income families and lower income families in America. I think at the end of the day, when you go into that voting booth and you pull that lever, that's what this election is going to be about.
How hard has inflation hit you?
It hit me hard. It's hitting me hard.
Who do you blame for it?
I blame the federal government at this point. If a working class mom who works as a paralegal cannot buy a $2 bell pepper because it's now $5, imagine a mother living on food stamps. Imagine a mother who's making minimum wage trying to feed children. They're killing us without killing us. If you understand that. They're killing us without telling us they're killing us. They're hurting people in ways that they can't help themselves. It's either feed my child or how about feed my children and I don't, but I have to go work.
That's powerful stuff, and that's a woman from Philadelphia, who doesn't fit the mold of a Trump voter. This election is going to come down to three things: the economy, inflation, and the border. Not just the border, but how the invasion is affecting you. Obviously, illegal immigration undercuts our economic growth. It undercuts middle-class wages, lower income wages. It hurts this country in a million ways. And that says nothing about crime. It says nothing about fentanyl. It says nothing about the tidal wave of human suffering and the 85,000 children missing at the southern border. Folks, I'm doing this show today because I want you to be happy warriors. I want you to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I want you to know that this election is winnable, and that the media, they're losing their grip on this country. And that's a really good thing. Okay. Let me take a quick break, tell you about Sweetamine. Sweetamine's amazing for chronic pain. It's amazing for chronic pain because it's composed mainly of the amino acid glycine. The amino acid glycine is naturally occurring in our bodies, and it's a nutrient our immune system uses to regulate inflammation. I hear from people in the live chat or people who listen to the show that will write me and say, like, holy shit, Sweetamine works. Like, that's my no bullshit assessment, folks. It works. If you have chronic pain, you should definitely check it out, because most of the diseases that make people sick and die these days are rooted in chronic inflammation, and that's mainly due to a glycine deficiency. Aches and pains that we feel as we get older are mainly due to chronic inflammation. So you could see how all of this is related. Once daily serving of Sweetamine provides 8 grams of glycine, and that's enough to stop all excess inflammation right where it starts. With once daily Sweetamine, most people feel the reduction in pain after just a few days. Sweetamine's also great for recovery after workouts. A 12-day challenge trial pack of Sweetamine is only $19.95, and that's with free shipping. It's sold completely risk-free. So if you think it sucks, it's not working, you can send it back. You get your money back. You use Sweetamine just like you would use sugar. So you can put it in your coffee, put it in your drink, put it in a protein shake, smoothie, sprinkle it on your cereal. Take it any damn way that you want. Has no sugar, no carbs, only 24 calories, and it's great, perfectly safe for diabetics. So you can get Sweetamine online at sweetamine.com, SWEETAMINE.com, or call 855-GET-SWEET. That's sweetamine.com, 855-GET-SWEET, or 855-438-7933. The phone number again, 855-438-7933. Use the promo code Sean, SEAN, and you will get a $5 discount. Folks, it's always darkest before the dawn. And again, it's real dark if you're a January 6th protester, mostly peaceful protester. DC judge today gave January 6th defendant Rebecca Lavernez, 72 years old, $103,000 fine on a nonviolent misdemeanor conviction. This is believed to be the largest fine ever given for a misdemeanor charge. Lawrence was also sentenced to 6 months of house arrest and a year of probation. Lawrence entered the Capitol for 10 minutes on January 6th. This is America. This is cruel and unusual punishment. It's yet another example of a sickening double standard in the DC courts. I'm telling you, the DC courts need to be disbanded. It is impossible to get a fair jury trial in DC. These judges are corrupt lunatics. Even the ones that are conservative and appointed by Ray have been on the bench far too long. If you're a member of Antifa and you ride it and you try to burn down St. John's Church, you're totally good in DC. Doesn't matter. No charges. If you protest what was a broken election, life is destroyed. It needs to stop. And folks, I'm not going to stop talking about it. I won't stop talking about January 6th until all the prisoners have been freed. So a couple things. Flag from Aunt Cindy before we pop smoke today. G. Fontes, thank you for the Rumble Rant tip. Jen, thank you for the Rumble Rant tip. She says, out here in SoCal at the beach, people wearing Trump hats and shirts, not hiding anymore. Told them about Red Beach Nation. Hey, that is effing great. Great job. That is awesome. I mean, listen, that's my point. God, it gets me fired up. It gets me fired up to hear you all say this. Silence fixes nothing. It fixes nothing. Don't be the silent majority. I hate that term. Okay, so Demanda, in honor of Demanda, who had her wisdom teeth out, she's sucking right now, and yes, it sucks. Tell you a quick story about my wisdom teeth, and then I promise I'll let you all go. So I was about to deploy to Afghanistan, had an appointment with an army dentist. My wisdom teeth were starting to come in, starting to give me a little bit of pressure in my mouth. And I said, do I need to have these out before I go? The army dentist was like, not a big deal. Just get them out after you come back from Afghanistan. So I go to Afghanistan. I'm there for a year. The day before that I'm supposed to come home, right? The day before that I'm supposed to come home, we get extended for 4 more months or until mission complete. So at that point, I was set to be in Afghanistan at least 16 months, but really until mission complete, who the hell knows? Well, come January of 2007, my teeth start really hurting. My wisdom teeth are coming in impacted. So my commander, along with my battalion commander, like, let's ship him off to Salerno, which was my brigade base where they could do more involved surgeries. There was a dentist there. We didn't have any of that shit on our base. We were an outlying base. We didn't even have running water. So they shipped me off to Salerno, and I get there for the procedure, and of course, didn't know any of this at the time. Didn't expect this either. But I get there, I get in the chair, and they're like, well, you know, we're rationing Novocaine, right? And I'm like, well, shit, no, I don't know that. Well, it makes sense, right? Taking casualties every day. It's a brigade headquarters. That Novocaine should go for the wounded. Well, I got like 1 shot of Novocaine in each gum, and they used these crab cracker claws to like pull out my wisdom teeth while I was still conscious. Gotta say, was one of the worst experiences of my life. And I, of course, get super swollen. I'm in tons of pain. And not only are they rationing Novocaine, they're also rationing like painkillers. So Percocets, things like that. So in order for me to get one painkiller, one Percocet or whatever you call it, Percocet or whatever the hell the pain meds are called, I don't even know what you call them. I would tell you that I legitimately needed them. I was in a lot of pain, but in order for me to get one pill, I had to walk like 200 yards down to the med tent to draw my one pill and then walk 200 yards back. And I'm telling you, right after having your wisdom teeth out, worst experience ever. So pretty terrible experience with the wisdom teeth stuff. I wish you all the best, Amanda, and I'm sorry that you have to go through it. And of course, there's no drinking in Afghanistan when we were there. General Order number 1. Obviously, I would have probably had a few drinks if it were legal. Of course, it wasn't. So I was just sucking. It was horrible. So yes, my condolences to you, Demanda, and I wish you a very speedy recovery. Before you leave today, make sure you smash that little green thumb beneath the video. It helps immensely. Thank you all for watching the show tonight. Thank you all for listening to the show. It's amazing to watch this live chat grow like it is. But as always, folks, I really want you to keep the faith. I want you to be happy warriors. I want you to realize that the best is yet to come. Just keep the faith. Take action in your community. We live in an amazing country, and we are called to save it right now. So I'll see you tomorrow night. Savage Rich Barris on deck tomorrow night for Savage Wednesday. As always, folks, God bless you all, and God bless this amazing country that we call home. Take care. Good night, and I will see you tomorrow.